Welcome, fellow bookworms, to TBR's Den. My name is Whitney, and today we are going to be doing my September TBR. The baby doesn't knock over all the books. So, September is my birthday month, and I do not play my game in my birthday month. You might notice I didn't change the board at all. So, for my birthday month, I just look at my shelves and I pick out the books that I am just most excited about. I still need a TBR. I am a TBR girl. I still have to have a TBR, but I just look at my shelves and whatever books I'm most excited about, those are the books I put on my TBR. So I do like to read some of my childhood books. And so I have a stack of books that are series I love, but I never finished the series, so they're the later ones in the series that I never finished. So I have those. I have a stack of just paperbacks and then a stack of hardbacks. So I'm going to kind of go from the children's and then from the ones that are lower priorities to the ones that are most priority, the ones I want to prioritize most, which is the hardbacks because, you know, they're the newer releases basically. So that's how we're going to do it. I figured it out, and let's see here. There's 30 books, so quite ambitious because there's 30 days in September. And if I read all the books, that would equal 9,781 pages. Now, September is also Orilium, and I participated for the first time last year, is what I meant to say. And I really love participating, but it's hard because it's April and then it used to be August, but G at Book Girls moved it to September. And April's my husband's birthday month and September is my birthday month. Last year I was able to make it work, but one, I'm quite ambitious. I'm doing multiple callings, which obviously isn't advisable. But also in September, you have multiple books for the different classes because you have to achieve like a certain letter grade, where in the spring is just the one book for the class, you know. So I don't know. I will see when the list comes out. I will see if these books fit, if I'm able to do that, because I figured out based on last year, if everything's the same, I will need to read 21 books, and I have 30 books. So if these work, great. If not, I'm not going to stress myself out. These are the books that I want to read, so these are what I'll be reading. So let's go ahead and start with the children's book. So the first four I have are books I've read. I think I read two of them. I can't remember for sure. But there's four books in the series. So first up, we have Misty of Chincoteague by Margaret Henry, which they're all by Margaret Henry. And this one, I can't remember if I read or not. I think I actually read it when I first started the channel as like a Throwback Thursday, but I honestly can't remember. So I do have it. I think I didn't actually, because I think I found this, and I didn't know if I read it as a kid because I got one of the other books, and I know I read that. So I actually don't think that I've read this one, but this is the first book in the series. And it says, Misty of Chincoteague. Nobody could capture the Phantom. She was the wildest mare on Assateague Island. I probably pronounced that wrong. They said she was like the wind, that the white map on her shoulders was her mark of freedom. Paul and Maureen Beebe had their hearts set on owning her. They were itching to buy and tame her and worked hard to earn the money she would cost. But the Roundup men had tried to capture her, and for 2 years she had escaped them. Pony Petting Day holds a surprise for everyone, for Paul not only brings in the Phantom, but her newborn colt as well. Can Paul and Maureen possibly earn enough to buy them both? Yeah, it sounds like I have read it, but I honestly don't know for sure. So that one I would like to read. Then we have Misty's Twilight. And this one says Misty is part thoroughbred, part Chincoteague pony, and 100% fire and talent. A direct descendant of the most famous pony ever, Misty of Chincoteague. Twilight has greatness in her blood. Now it's her turn to shine, perhaps as a cutting horse, a jumper, or in the graceful art of dressage. Can Twilight, whose ancestors were wild ponies living on an untamed island, do it? Can she compete against the best horses in the world and win? So, um, I think I've read this one. Again, I just can't remember. So, but this one I know I've read. This is the one I had as a child, and that's Stormy, Misty's foal. So this is one that I for sure read. It says a violent hurricane slashes across Chincoteague and the Assateague Island. No one is spared. The wild ponies and the people must battle for their homes as well as their lives. In the midst of all this turmoil, Misty, the most famous wild pony in the world, is about to give birth to her first foal. As news of the storm spreads, thousands of phone calls and letters from Misty's fans pour in. Is Misty alive? Is her colt okay? In this moving true story, learn the fate of Misty and her colt Stormy and how they helped rebuild the herds of wild ponies on battered Assateague Island. So, that one, like I said, I had it as a kid. I know I read it, but I don't remember it. I don't think I've reread it. Because I don't know what happened to my copy, but I found that one at a thrift store. I'm sure, sometime when the million of moves since I was a kid, it got lost. And then, I didn't even know about this one. So this is the fourth book, and it's Sea Star, Orphan of Chincoteague. So this one, it says, movie men have come to Chincoteague to film the annual pony penning, and Paul and Maureen are thrilled until they learn that the producers want to buy their beloved Misty. Reluctantly, they agree to sell in order to send their uncle to college. But how will they ever fill the lonely place that Misty leaves behind? Finding an orphan colt helps Paul and Maureen deal with their loss, and they do soon discover that little Sea Star needs them just as much as they need him. So, there's fun little illustrations in here. So, those should be quick and easy to read. I should be able to read them, quickly within a few hours and then switch over to whatever book I'm working on at that point. And the same thing with these next ones. So these next three are part of the Bunnicula series. And I had read 4 of them, I want to say. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. I read 4 of them, but I never read these 3. And I love Bunnicula. So Bunnicula by James Houck is about this rabbit who is a vampire rabbit. And the family dog thinks there's just something strange about this rabbit and is convinced like something's going on and is trying to figure out what's going on. And the family cat doesn't believe him, and it's just a whole fun thing. And so in this one, we have celery stalks at midnight. In this one, Bunnicula is missing. Chester is convinced all the world's vegetables are in danger of being drained of their life juices and turned into zombies. Soon he has Harold and Howie running around sticking toothpicks through hearts of lettuce and any other veggie in sight. Of course, Chester has been known to be wrong before, but you can never be too careful when there's a vampire bunny at large. So Chester's the cat, and then Harold and Howie are the dogs. So that's gonna be fun. Then we have Nighty Nightmare. And this one says, things are not what they seem. Are Harold, Howie, and Chester simply lost in the woods with Dog, their strange new friend? Or have they been lured away from their campsite intentionally, leaving the Munros at the mercy of evil spirits with mayhem on their minds? Lulling Dog to sleep with a bedtime story might be their only hope of escaping. But is the hair-raising tale of the origins of Bunnicula, the vampire bunny, really a bedtime story? So, that's going to be cute. There's that. And then the last one is Bunnicula meets Edgar Allan Crow. So, I love the cover of this one. And it says, Pete's favorite writer, M.T. Graves, author of the Flesh Crawler series, is coming to town and staying at the Monroes. Everyone's thrilled, of course, except, of course, Chester. Hasn't anyone else noticed the terrible things always happen to the pets in Graves' books? When Graves arrives dressed all in black with a sinister-looking, beady-eyed crow perched on his shoulder, Harold and Howie begin to think that perhaps for once Chester might not be the victim of his own overactive imagination. Why is the writer so interested in Bunnicula? Maybe not all of Graves' plots are in his books. So that was going to be cute. I just love the whole series. I mean, the 4 I've read, obviously. I haven't read these ones yet. And again, super short kids chapter, going to be really easy. And then the last 2 for my children's books, these were, I loved The Wrinkle in Time. That was my favorite book growing up, I would say. I would check it out over and over and over and over again. Every time I go to the library, I check that one out. And I checked it out like well into my teens too. Like, I just love that book. And so I've reread it and the next 2 in the series. But there's 5 and I never read the second 2 because I just wasn't interested. I think book 4 follows the twins, Sandy and Denny's, and then this one I think it says Polly O'Keefe, so we'll have to see. Anyway, so book 4 is Many Waters, and then book 5 is An Acceptable Time, and these are by Madeline L'Engle. And so this one says, Sandy and his twin brother Denny's are the practical, down-to-earth members of the Murray family. They have never paid much attention to their scientists' parents' talk of highly theoretical things like tesseracts and farandale. But now something has happened to Sandy and Denny's that drastically stretches their powers of belief. And when disaster threatens the oasis where they have made their home, can they find their way back to their own time? So there's that one. And then in An Acceptable Time, it says Polly O'Keefe has recently moved in with her grandparents, the famous scientists Alex and Kate Murray. When she wanders into a time 3,000 years before her own, perhaps it's not an accident, as she is told by 2 druids. When a gate between the circles of time opens, it opens for a reason. When the gate closes behind Polly and her gravely ill friend Zachary, the reason becomes clear. In this desperate time, can Polly keep herself and Zachary alive until the gate reopens to bring them home? So it's the next generation, it sounds like. So there is all the children's books, which like I said, those should be super easy. Even the Madeline L'Engle ones are longer. They're like 300 and something pages. Those should still be able to fly through them and keep working on the other books. So next is a nonfiction, and it is going to be, I think, a little bit like sad and heartbreaking. But I've wanted this for a while, ever since I heard about it. And just I've been trying to find it, like thrift it, and wasn't able to. And then finally, I just got it off, I think, Pango. And that's The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating by Elizabeth Tova Bailey. And my middle name's actually Elizabeth, so but spelled with a Z, not an S. But still, a little connection. So, and this one, I want to read it, so that's why. And it's really short; it's less than 200 pages. Or actually, no, yeah, it's less than 200 pages. So it says, in a work that beautifully demonstrates the rewards of closely observing nature, Elizabeth Tova Bailey shares an inspiring and intimate story of her encounter with a Neohelix albolabris, a common woodland snail. While an illness keeps her bedridden, Bailey watches a wild snail that has taken up residence on her nightstand. As a result, she discovers the solace and sense of wonder that this mysterious creature brings, and comes to a greater understanding of her own place in the world. Intrigued by the snail's molluscan anatomy, cryptic defenses, clear decision-making, hydraulic locomotion, and courtship activities, Bailey becomes an astute and amused observer, offering a candid and engaging look into the curious life of this underappreciated small animal. The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating is a remarkable journey of survival and resilience, showing us how a small part of the natural world can illuminate our own human existence, while proving an appreciation for what it means to be fully alive. So, like I said, I've just been wanting to read this for a long time. And now that I finally have it, and I just don't want to wait. So that's why it's going on my birthday TBR, even though it's going to be a little bit more serious. Next, this one, I gave the first 2 books 4 stars, I believe, each. But I just love the series as a whole. It's more a problem with like the pacing and such. But the concept of the series I absolutely love. And so this is the third and last book, and I do want to make progress on the series. I'm not pulling out of my jar like I normally do, and this is the only series that I have to continue. So that is out of my priority list anyway. And that's The God of Lost Words by A.J. Hackwith. So like I said, this is the third one. So I'm not gonna read the synopsis on this one, but basically you have Claire, and she's Hell's librarian. And so of the unwritten section. So the books that were just concepts and ideas that never got written go to the section of hell. And she ends up, one of the books escape because like the books kind of come to life, like they kind of have a sentience in a way, and sometimes a character will come out of the book. And so one of the books escapes, and so she goes after it. Well, when she's after it, this angel comes, and he thinks they're after this other book called Hell's Codex, I believe is what it's called. And so then Claire's like, well, I'm not, but now I want to know what this is. And so they kind of go, her and a group of demons and other things go on this adventure to find the Hell's Codex. And then it kind of goes on from there and such. So I'm excited to finish up the series, but like I said, it's a little bit lower just because I'm not as excited because I didn't fully love the first two. Like, I love them, but I don't love them, you know? But I am still really excited to wrap up the series, and that's why I put it on this list. So there's that one. Next is one I got this at the store the other day. It was on my wish list, and then when I saw it at the store, I was like, you know what? I really want to read that, and it just sounds fun and cute. And that's Behooved by M. Stevenson, and I love horses. I was a horse girl growing up, so it sounds fun. So it says, a charming, slow burn fantasy featuring a duty-bound noblewoman with a chronic illness. I did not know that part. I didn't read that. A prince who would rather be in a library than on a throne, and a magical ride through a world of cozy enchantment. Bianca knows her duty comes before her heart, so when the threat of war looms, she agrees to marry the neighboring kingdom's heir. But not all royal weddings are a fairy tale, and Prince Auric, Bianca's excuse me, I don't know if it's Eric or Auric, but it's probably Eric. Prince Eric, Bianca's betrothed, is cold, aloof, and seems to hate her on sight. To make matters worse, on their wedding night, an assassination attempt goes awry, leaving Eric magically transformed into a horse. Bianca does what any bride in the situation would do. She mounts her new husband and rides away to safety. Sunset returns Eric to human form, but they soon discover the assassination attempt is part of a larger plot against the throne. Worse, Bianca has been framed for Eric's murder, and she's now saddled with a husband who is a horse by day and a frustratingly attractive man by night. As an unexpected romance begins galloping away with their hearts, Bianca and Eric must rely on each other to unravel the curse and save the throne. So, sounds really fun. Okay, I had a really bad tickle in my throat. But anyway, this sounds really fun, like lighthearted, and just like a good time. So I'm really interested in that one. Next, we have a series that I want to start. This, of course, has been all over BookTube. And I love the covers of these. Like, these covers just pulled me in. And I just really want to read them. So we have Phantasma and Enchantra. Like I said, I adore these covers. The colors are stunning, and I can't wait to read these. So the first one says, Phantasma has only two rules: stay alive and don't fall in love. When Ophelia discovers her mother's brutally murdered, there is no time to grieve. She has inherited the family's fearsome magic and enormous debt. Circumstance go from dire to deadly, however, when Ophelia's sister decides to pay off the loan by entering Phantasma, a competition where contestants rarely escape alive, and the victor is granted a single wish. The only way for Ophelia to save her sister is to win. But Phantasma is a cursed manor full of twisting corridors and lavish ballrooms, stacked by enticing demons and fatal temptations. And Ophelia must conquer all 9 floors to succeed if her fears don't overtake her first. When a charming, arrogant stranger claims he can help, Ophelia knows better than to trust him. But with her sister's life on the line, Ophelia can't afford to turn him away. She'll just need to ignore the overwhelming dark attraction drawing them closer and closer together. Because in Phantasma, the only thing deadlier than losing the game is losing your heart. And then Enchantra, I think, is about her sister. And it says, when Grimm's mother dies, she's left with questions no one can answer until she receives an invitation to Enchantra, a cursed palace in Italy, frozen in time. Though denied entrance by the sinfully handsome yet hostile Rowan Silver, Genevieve finds her own way in and soon realizes her mistake. For Enchantra is the twisted labyrinth where Rowan and his 6 siblings are trapped in a deadly game. At the mercy of a twisted devil and his ghastly spectators, only one occupant of the house can survive. Genevieve now must win or die. Rowan warns her he's the deadliest of the Silvers, that he always wins, that her only chance is to compete as his wife. So they must convince the audience they're desperately in love. And while Genevieve's willing to do whatever it takes to survive, she also knows she can't trust Rowan, and that the desire burning between them is a lie. After all, it was Rowan who taught her Enchantra's first rule: never ever trust your heart. So I'm excited about these two. In the very least, I'm going to at least read Phantasma, and then if Enchantra has to wait, that's fine. But most likely I'm going to read them back to back, so they're both going to get read if I read one. Let's be honest. Next, I did my auto by authors video, and as I was doing that video, I was kind of looking at like backlists and such. And one of those authors was Olivia Atwater. I loved her fairy tale Regency series, the fairy tale Victorian series, I think it is. There's only one book, and I haven't heard anything else about another book, but I love that one as well. And so this is the only one minus like the little half stories that I didn't have, and I wanted it. So this is Small Miracles, again by Olivia Atwater. I got this off Pango. I like this cover better than the other one. And this one says, a little bit of sin is good for the soul. Gadriel, the fallen angel of petty temptations, has a bit of a gambling debt. Fortunately, her angelic Brookie is happy to let her pay off her debts by doing what she does best. All Gadriel has to do is tempt miserably sinless mortal Holly Harker to do a few nice things for herself. What should be a cakewalk of a job soon runs into several roadblocks, however, as Miss Harker politely refuses every attempt at temptation from Gadriel, the woman, Gadriel, the man, and Gadriel, the adorable fluffy kitten. When even chocolate fails to move Gadriel's target, the ex-guardian angel begins to suspect she's been conned. But Gadriel still remembers her previous job, and where petty temptations fail, small miracles might yet prevail. So, yeah, I think it's gonna be fun. I probably won't love it as much as the others, but I still think it's gonna be a good time. The next is another series. I have read the first one. I read it digitally, and the third one came out this year, and I just really want to read them all together. And so that is God Killer, Sunbringer, and Faith Breaker. And so I'm really excited about all these. I'll just read the synopsis for the first one. And it says, gods are forbidden in the kingdom of Midrin. Formed by human desires and fed by their worship, there are countless gods in the world, but after a great war, the new king outlawed them and now pays god killers to destroy any who try to rise from the shadow. Kissin makes a living killing gods and enjoys it, but all this changes when she is tasked with helping a young noble whose soul is bonded to a tiny god of white lies. Kissin realizes she can't kill it without ending the girl's life too. Joined by a disillusioned knight on a secret quest, the unlikely group must travel to the ruined city of Blenradin, where the last of the wild gods reside, to each beg a favor. Pursued by assassins and demons, and in the midst of a burgeoning civil war, they will all face a reckoning. Something is rotting at the heart of the world, and they are the only ones who can stop it. So, I'm excited to finally reread this one and read the other two in the series. So, that one I'm definitely hoping to binge, but again, we'll just have to see. The next one is a high priority. This was a gift at Christmas time. I got the first book and this one, and really just need to read it. Obviously, that's been months and months now. I didn't think the writing was all that great in the first one, and there was definitely plot holes and typos and such, but I had a good time regardless. So, this is Nightbane, which is the second book following Lightlark by Alex Astor. And yeah, I want to get this read. Like I said, it was a gift, and I did really have a good time with the first one. So this one, I won't read the synopsis just in case, but Isla, um, there's this island of Lightlark, and I think every 100 years it rises, and the leaders of these places go to it, and they kind of have this competition. They're trying to break this curse. And so yeah, I had, like I said, a really great time with the first one, and I'm excited to continue on with it. So that's definitely a high priority. The next one, I read the first book twice. I reread it last year because I wanted to read the second one for my birthday month, and I only got to the first one, but I read the second book in July, and so I'm excited to get this one. It just came out in July, and that's The Undercutting of Rosie and Adam by Megan Bannon. So this one is, you have the world of Tanria, which is where the new gods imprison the old gods, and you have these marshals that patrol it and such because there used to be drudges. And so there's like a fog that covers it, and then they did portals and such, which has to do with the next two. So true love never dies in this heartwarming fantasy rom-com with an opposites attract twist. Immortal demigod Rosie Fox has patrolled Tanria for decades, but the job has been losing its luster. When Rosie dies again by electrocution again, after poking around a portal choked with shadowy thorns, she feels stuck in the rut that is her unending life. The portal's uptight creator, Adam Lee, must come in person to repair the damage. But when all the portals break down at once, trapping Rosie and Adam inside the mist, it becomes clear the reticent inventor knows more about what's happening than he lets on. Maybe two people who have found themselves stuck in this thorny tangle of life together can unstick each other just when their time seems to be running out. So I'm excited for that one. I love the first two. Uh, just a fun, cozy time, but with a little bit of stakes as well. So it's fun. Next is an author that I've read a couple books by them, and I just really want to read this one. So that is Swordheart by T. Kingfisher. I know, like, this is the first in the series, but it's also kind of connected with some other ones. And there's two that you're technically supposed to read before this one, but I think it's fine as well. So I'm just gonna go straight into this one, and if I really enjoy this, I'll probably end up getting the two. It's like Clockwork Boys or something that comes before it, and then something else, then this one, and then you have the Paladins series as well. That is all kind of connected together. So this one says Hala has unexpectedly inherited an estate of a wealthy uncle. Unfortunately, she's also saddled with money hungry relatives full of devious plans for how to wrest the inheritance away from her. While locked in her bedroom, Hala inspects the ancient sword that's been collecting dust on the wall since before she moved in. Out of desperation, she unsheathes it, and suddenly a man appears. His name is Sarkis. He tells her, and he is an immortal warrior trapped in a prison of enchanted steel. Sarkis is sworn to protect whoever wields the sword, and for Hala, a most unusual wielder. He finds himself not fending off grand armies and deadly assassins, but instead everything from kindly seeming bandits to roving inquisitors to her own in-laws. But as Hala and Sarkis grow closer, they overlook the biggest threat of all, the sword itself. So I think it's going to be a really good time. Like I said, I've read one horror book. I'm about to read a second horror book by this author. And then I read the middle grade one, A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. And I've loved all of them. So, well, I think I've only read two. But I really enjoyed those ones. I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy the other horror book I'm going to be reading in August. And I'm sure I'll love that one as well. Next is another one that's very, very popular, very big right now because it's a newer release, and that's Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. And yeah, this one's I'm not subscribed to Book of the Month, but I got this off Pango. This is a chunky one. This is probably the chunkiest book that I'm putting on here. It's over 500 pages, so it's chunky, but it sounds really good. So it says, this is a story about hunger. 1532, Santo Domingo de la Calzada. A young girl grows up wild and wily. Her beauty is only outmatched by her dreams of escape. But Maria knows she can only ever be a prize or a pawn in the games played by men. When an alluring stranger offers an alternate path, Maria makes a desperate choice. She vows to have no regrets. This is a story about love. 1827, London. A young woman lives in an idyllic but cloistered life on her family's estate until a moment of forbidden intimacy sees her shipped off to London. Charlotte's tender heart and seemingly impossible wishes are swept away by an invitation from a beautiful widow, but the price of freedom is higher than she could have imagined. This is a story about rage. 2019, Boston. College was supposed to be her chance to be someone new. That's why Alice moved halfway across the world, leaving her old life behind. But after an out-of-character one-night stand leaves her questioning her past, her present, and her future, Alice throws herself into the hunt for answers and revenge. This is a story about life, how it ends, and how it starts. So, I'm really excited about this one. Like I said, I've been seeing it everywhere. And the few people I've heard that have read it seem to have enjoyed it. So, I am looking forward to getting to that one. Then we have The Amalfi Curse by Sarah Penner. This is also a newer release. I read The Lost Apothecary a while back. And I love the historic timeline. I wasn't a big fan of like the present day timeline, but I love the historic timeline. I just read in July the London Seance Society. Gave it 4 stars. I wanted more of like the ghostly vibes and such, but I still had a really good time with it. And this one I think is just the premise of it. I think it'll probably be my favorite that the author's written. So it says, powerful witchcraft, a hunt for sunken treasure, forbidden love on the high seas. Beware of the Amalfi curse. Haven Ambrose, a trailblazing nautical archaeologist, has come to the sun-soaked village of Positano to investigate the mysterious shipwrecks along the Amalfi coast. But Haven is hoping to find more than old artifacts beneath the azure waters. She is secretly on a quest to locate a trove of priceless gemstones her late father spotted on his final dive. Upon Haven's arrival, strange maelstroms and misfortunes start plaguing the town. Is it nature or something more sinister at work? As Haven searches for her father's sunken treasure, she begins to unearth a centuries-old tale of ancient sorcery and one woman's quest to save her lover and her village by using the legendary art of Strateria, a magical ability to harness the ocean. Could this magic be behind Positano's latest calamities? Haven must unravel the Amalfi curse before their region is destroyed forever. Against the dazzling backdrop of the Amalfi coast, this bewitching novel shimmers with mystery, romance, and the untamed magic of the sea. So I'm so excited about this. Look at that end page too. So yeah, this is definitely one I want to read. I was very interested when I heard about it. So there's that. The next two aren't part of the same series, but they are by the same author. And again, back to my auto buy author video. These are the two backlist books that I didn't have, and there's a new one coming out, so I definitely want to finish up her backlist before the new ones come out. So first up, we have Vengeance of the Pirate Queen by Tricia Levenseller, and this is actually the third book in the Pirate Queen series. Or I don't know if it's I don't know what the series is called, but you have Daughter of the Pirate King and then Daughter of the Siren Queen. And I really loved both of those books. This one is following somebody different. I do love, like I said, I don't normally care about like sprayed edges, but I do love this one. I do love this edition. So there's that. This one says, you can't be afraid of the dark when you're the monster lurking in the shadows. And as an assassin working for the Pirate Queen, 18-year-old Serinda is surprised when Alosa's the one from the other books. Next task is for her not to kill a new target, but to captain a hand-picked crew on a rescue mission. Unfortunately, her sailing master is 20-year-old Kieran. He may be the best helmsman the Pirate Queen has, but Serinda finds him a real pain in the arse. Sadly, there are few places on a ship to hide from an attentive man. As the crew of the Vengeance faces dangerous waters and deadly sea creatures, they accidentally awaken the King of the Undersea, a being who can control the dead. The rescue mission quickly turns into a fight to save the world, but first Serinda must save herself from becoming an undead queen. So, excited to get to that one. I really enjoyed those. The first two are probably my least favorite by this author, but I still loved them. Just the others were just so good, that they kind of beat out the other two, but I still had a really great time with them, and I'm really excited for those. But this is the one I'm most excited for. And it's Warrior of the Wild, again, by Tricia Levenseller. I'm pretty sure this one's just a standalone, though. And let's see here. It just has a tiny little thing. It says, how do you kill a god? As her father's chosen heir, 18-year-old Rasmira has trained her whole life to become a warrior and lead her village. But when her coming-of-age trial is sabotaged and she fails the test, her father banishes her to the monster-filled wilderness with an impossible quest. To win back her honor, she must kill the oppressive god who claims tribute from the villages each year, or die trying. And I think this is Viking, inspired, so... I'm very, very excited about this. And then I'll be all set for her new release. So next is one I've seen quite a few places. And I'm just very intrigued. It's kind of chunky too. It's heavy. It's less pages than Barrier Bones, but it's heavier. It's a brick. And this one is God of the Woods by Liz Moore. And I just knew I wanted this, and I wanted to read it, and so I picked it up, and I've been sitting there waiting for my birthday month. So this says, when a teenager vanishes from her, I always struggle with this word, so sorry, Adirondack summer camp, two worlds collide. Early morning, August 1975, a camp counselor discovers an empty bunk. Its occupant, Barbara Van Laar, has gone missing. Barbara isn't just any 13-year-old. She's the daughter of the family that owns the summer camp and employs most of the region's residents. And this isn't the first time a Van Laar child has disappeared. Barbara's older brother similarly vanished 14 years ago, never to be found. As a panicked search begins, a thrilling drama unfolds, chasing down the layered mystery of the Van Laar family and the blue-collar community living and working in its shadow. Moore's multi-threaded story invites readers into a rich and gripping dynasty of secrets. Liz Moore's most ambitious and wide-reaching novel yet, The God of the Woods, is a story of inheritance and second chances, the tensions between a family and a community, and a history that will not let any of them go. So, I've heard really good things about this, and I'm just very excited. So, there's that one. Adeline thinks she's going to get in trouble for jumping up here. she's fine as long as she doesn't knock over any books. The next book, I just put a placeholder so I didn't forget about it, is actually the pick for my family book club, and that's going to be The September House by Carissa Orlando. I am excited. I've been interested in this one since it came out a couple of years ago. And what perfect time to read it than in September. And so this one, you have, I can't remember if she inherits the house or whatnot. I think she buys it and she gets this house, and every September, like, the walls bleed and paranormal stuff starts happening. But she's determined to stay in her house. So she's trying to figure out what the heck's going on because she wants to stay in there. So I'm really excited about this. I hope myself and my family enjoys it, but we will just have to see. Next, this is a placeholder. There's two more placeholders. So this one, we have, this one's Tiger's Tail, but the new one coming out on September 9th is Tiger's Trek. So the original series, what is it called? There's original series. It was, it's like the Tiger's Curse series, and it's about these two brothers that are cursed to be tigers, obviously. And this is kind of what happened if they were never cursed and the curse still existed. And so this is following two sisters. I was very disappointed with this one. Nothing happens in it, but Tiger's Trek, I'm hoping things should happen, to set everything up. But it was just kind of let down because there was nothing that happened. Like, it could have been condensed down. But I am excited for Tiger's Trek. And so, I'm definitely going to get that one. And so you have Anastasia and Verusha Stefanov are the Tsar's only children, heirs to the prosperous and sprawling Kievan Empire. Headstrong and fierce, the twins have long sworn their father's opulent palace and the diplomatic obligations that come with it, preferring to train with the royal guard and dream of a soldier's life beyond the palace walls. But with their father lost in recent war and their once indomitable mother succumbing to illness, the young women know that one of them must soon ascend the throne, make a politically advantageous marriage, and begin producing heirs. Yet the succession is far from clear, as both would prefer the path of the second born. Head the royal guard, travel the far reaches of the empire, and seek out a destiny of her own making. As their beloved mother's condition worsens, the sisters grow more desperate, seeking any healer who might give her more time. But when a stranger arrives offering another option, the sisters refuse his proposal and banish the strange man. As he departs, the stranger unleashes a devastating curse that sends Veru and Stasia fleeing their home on an adventure beyond anything they ever imagined. So, yeah, like I said, this one just didn't have a lot going on. I wanted more from it, but I'm hopeful that the next one will actually have the action and they'll actually, something will happen in it. So, but I still love the series. Like I said, the other one, not the best written, very teen inks. So you gotta love Triangle, but it was so much fun, and I do like the twin girl element here, and there's some other characters that I really enjoyed as well. So I'm excited to see where the author takes it, even though this one was a slight disappointment. So this is just a placeholder for that one. Then we have this one again as a placeholder. So placeholder is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, which is book 1 of the Shadowborn duet, book 3 of the Crowns of Nyaxia series. And the book I'm going to be reading is the next one, which is The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk. I love Carissa Broadbent's writing. Everything I've read from her has been 5 stars. My favorite is the War of Lost Hearts trilogy. I love that trilogy so much. The first 2 books in the Crowns of Nyaxia series is probably my least favorite. I still gave it 5 stars, but I don't love the characters. Like, I just didn't connect to them as much. But I love Misha and Asar. So, in the first book of this duet, they went on a trip to the underworld. And so this is following the events of that, and a lot happened in that one, so I'm so excited to see where it continues on from this one. That one comes out the 5th of August. When I'm filming this, it's actually the 1st of August. I like to film way in advance. I like to be about a month ahead and know exactly what I'm reading. But I'm going to get my hands on this right away, and then I plan on reading it. If I don't, I might have no self-control and end up reading it in August. But if I don't, it will definitely be on my September TBR. So that's just a placeholder so I remember. The last one I picked up on a whim. I didn't even know about this book. And I've been seeing people talk about it, just a couple people. And then I stopped on a whim at my the local independent bookstore down in the bigger city, and they have a small section of new releases. And I saw this one, and I've only heard like 2 or 3 people talk about it so far, but it just really captured my attention. And that is The Bewitching by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. One, I love this cover. Like, the vibes is just perfect. I've never read from this author. I have 2 books, Mexican Gothic and The Gods of Jade and Shadow, I believe is what it's called. And I've never read either one. I am planning on reading The Gods of Jade and Shadow later on in the year. But this one, just the vibes and what it's about, like, seems right up my alley. So I picked it up the other day and definitely want to get it on in September. And it also works for Genreathon, which is my readathon. It's year long, and each month we're focusing on a different genre or genre adjacent prompt. And September is growing older, to read either a generational book or a historical book. And this one, I think, works for the both, but definitely the generational aspect. So it says 3 women in 3 different eras encounter danger and witchcraft in this eerie multi-generational horror saga from the New York Times bestselling author of Mexican Gothic. I didn't read that little blurb, so yeah, it's a multi-generational book. It's perfect. Back when I was a young woman, there were still witches. That was how Nana Alba always began the stories she told her great-granddaughter Minerva. Stories that have stayed with Minerva all her life. Perhaps that's why Minerva has become a graduate student focused on the history of horror literature and is researching the life of Beatrice Tremblay, an obscure author of macabre tales. In the course of assembling her thesis, Minerva uncovers information that reveals that Tremblay's most famous novel, The Vanishing, was inspired by a true story. Decades earlier, during the Great Depression, Tremblay attended the same university where Minerva is now studying and becoming obsessed with her beautiful and otherworldly roommate, who then disappeared under mysterious circumstances. As Minerva descends even deeper into Tremblay's manuscript, she begins to sense that the malign force that stalked Tremblay and the missing girl might still walk the halls of the campus. These disturbing events also echoes the story Nana Alba told about her girlhood in 1900s Mexico, where she had a terrifying encounter with a witch. Minerva suspects that the same shadow that darkened the lives of her great-grandmother and Beatrice Tremblay is now threatening her own in 1990s Massachusetts. An academic career can only be a punishing pursuit, but it might turn outright deadly when witchcraft is involved. Sorry, I kind of stumbled over the end there. This calls to me. This calls to me so much. Like, I'm very interested in the other books, but this in particular, like, yes, I want to read this. Like I said, it works for my genreathon. So, this is the last book, the high priority book. Yeah, I'm so excited about all these books. I think it's gonna be a really great month. Like I said, I'm not gonna push myself. I'm just gonna read as much as I want, so this is more of a pile of possibilities than hard and fast TBR. And whatever I don't get read, I'm not gonna like roll over or anything like that. But these are just the books that I'm very, very interested in. So I would love to know if you've read any of these, if you're kind of interested in reading any of these, or a book that you're excited that you have coming up. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys here. If you're don't know what to comment, you just want to let me know you're here and helping to support the channel by commenting, you can always leave a rabbit or a birthday emoji down in the comments below. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.